In the last video, we covered the inner HTML property, and we were able to completely replace the text on our web page. In this video, we're going to change an image using JavaScript, and we're going to use the source property. And of course, in JavaScript, it's src. That's what we use to specify in our JavaScript. And again, it's a property just like inner HTML. So let's pull up the code. Now you can see here we're using the same button as we always have. The only difference is I've added an image now that we're going to change. I just wanted to keep this up. We used this some of this code from the last video, this paragraph element, and I just wanted to point out to you that the inner HTML, of course, was a property that worked against the content inside our paragraph element. The source property works against the source attribute in the IMG tag, and that will allow us to change this JPEG image to a different image. So we don't need this anymore. I just wanted to use this to make that point. So what we're going to do again is when we hit this button, we want this initial image of Stalin to change to an image of Lenin. So again, the source property just works against the source attribute, and we've seen this many times when we've used images. And of course, the source attribute is part of the IMG tag. Now I want to pull up the folder that I'm using really quickly. You can use any image you want. I'm using these images of Lenin and Stalin. If you go to Wikipedia, if you want to use these exact images, you can go to Wikipedia and search on Lenin and search on Stalin, and you'll find these at the front of the web page. But again, you want to place these images in your web folder. That's what I'm doing here. Also make sure that you're using the right extension. So if you're using a JPG, you need JPG, but if it's a GIF, you need to make sure you put GIF here. If it's PNG, you need to make sure you put PNG here. And the way you can tell is you can just click on this and it says JPG right here. And trust me, that's thrown me off many times. So again, copy both of the images, your two images, to the web folder that we'll be executing this code out of. Okay, so this is all good to go. We've got our source attribute pointing to our Stalin image. That's the first image that will get loaded on our web page. And we've created an ID. We're using an ID here with the name of image. And so what does that mean? We're going to be using the getElementById method to grab this first. So let's switch over to the JavaScript code. And here you can see again we're using the getElementById method. Of course, that's going to grab our ID of image. And then, of course, we get to use the source property, which belongs to the document object, right? And what we can do is just flip that to Lenin.jpg. It's actually very simple. So we're just specifying src, and then we're pointing to our new image. So let's go ahead and run this, and we'll see what we get here. And if we hit the change button, there you can see we've got our new image. So that's how you change an image. You have to go against the source attribute, and again, you need to use the source property, which of course is part of the document object model. So let's flip back to our outline really quick. So we just completed how to change an image. Now, these three subjects right here we're actually going to hold off on because we're going to start looking at events. So we'll come back to these subjects in later videos. But like I said, we want to start on the topic of events, and there are several different types of events. So in the next video, we're going to talk about the on-click event. Yes, we've been doing that in the last several videos, so this should be very familiar to you. And we're not only going to talk about the on-click event again, we're going to talk about what events do and the different types of events. And there are many other events that we'll be covering over the next several videos. See you guys in the next video.